Hello, welcome to Lush Lawn Pro Podcast. This is our number 5 podcast. My name is Aaron Sampson, the CEO of Lush Lawn, and this is
Ken Gesso, COO of Lush Lawn.
And we're joined by a very special guest today, the CEO of Deep Lawn. His name is Joel Northrup, and I think Ken has a question for him to get us started here.
Yeah, first off, excited to have you, Joel. You're our first tech company on the podcast, so I think that'll bring a little unique perspective and something different to the podcast, and I'm excited to go over with everyone today.
Yeah, thanks, Ken. Thanks, Aaron. Excited to be on today.
Awesome. Yeah, I thought we'd kick it right off, Joel. You know, just doing a little research on you, not stalkerish, but looking through websites. Did notice you started a business, early on, lawn tech, with your brother there, and currently you're with Deep Lawn. So I was hoping you kind of just walk us through your journey from lawn tech to now to Deep Lawn.
Yeah. So my younger brother, and I, Toby, we started our business back in, I think it was 2011. So we were in high school at the time, and I couldn't even drive yet. I think I was like 15. And we started just mowing neighbors' lawns for a little bit of extra cash on the side. And then, what kind of was just a side job became our full-time business. And I was able to drive, once I was able to drive, we were able to start building the business. Over the course of about 9 years, we built that business from just me and my brother up to about a team of, I think, 12 full-time employees. And we went through a lot of different evolutions as a business. We started off just mowing. It's a lot easier to mow when you're only in high school. And we started taking on landscape projects, eventually started doing larger installs, patios, retaining walls, outdoor kitchens, outdoor fireplaces. And then we had some more evolutions of the business. We eventually decided to sell off the lawn care business and also kind of slow down in the landscaping, and we pivoted to all fertilization and weed control services. That's what we saw was the most profitable at the time. And I think that was like 2015, we decided to make that change. We also had a lot of...
Hey, Joel, if you don't mind, I think that's something pretty interesting, because it seems like the more people I talk to, the more entrepreneurs in this business kind of follow a similar path, where they start off mowing, then they start off doing everything, and then they find their home here with fertilizing and weed control. You spoke to profits. Was that's the main key to why you made that switch?
Yeah. So every winter, because we didn't do snow removal at the time, because during those periods I was in high school, then in college, I was a wrestler. And during the winters, we didn't have that much time to do actual work. We didn't want to be up, all night doing snow removal. So I would go through like the financials of the business, kind of do like a recap of the year. And one year I sat down and I realized we had made, our revenue was through the roof. We had like doubled our revenue, but our profits were like 1% or break even. And that's not a great feeling when you look at the numbers, and that's the end result. And so kind of set about to make some big drastic changes. I'm sure a lot of people, when they first start a lawn care business, they take on whatever they can get. And that's kind of what we were. And we also started all these little side businesses. Like we started a dog waste removal business. I had that great idea that would be the next big business. I would make $1 million doing it. And after about 3 jobs,
Joel, can you elaborate? What is dog waste removal? Like, what exactly is that?
It's just, you pretty much go out with a shovel to a property and you pick up all the dog crap on a lawn.
Okay.
And I had this horrible price. I didn't really know my pricing very well back then. And my brother, to this day, reminds me of it. But I had this great idea. Oh, we're going to just charge a flat rate, $25 per property to pick up dog waste. Well, we showed up to the first property, and there was no grass. You couldn't see the grass. It was all just dog crap. So anyway, after my employees revolted and
Yeah.
Chip.
Well, before they revolted, What were your KPIs on this dog waste removal? What was your cost per poop? What was your what was your price per poop? What was how many
Well-
poops could you pick up per hour? I'm just curious.
Tell you what, the first job took like 6 hours. So
Oh,
6
wow.
hours of two of us working full time
Yeah.
for $25. So you can do the math, but the numbers were not there. We
Yeah.
lost a lot of money that day. So it didn't take long for us to shutter that business. We also started one of the first robotic lawnmower businesses in all of the Midwest. I think we were second to my good friend Joe Langton. He started in Chicago area. We were like the second that started rolling out Husqvarna automowers. And that was a very tricky business. It was difficult. We built that business up. We sold that business like a year later. So yeah, we had just a ton of experience. But over the course of 9 years, learned the good, the bad, the ugly about lawn care, landscaping, pest control. And then in 2019, we sold the business. We got an offer from a larger company in the area. I had graduated from the University of Iowa. I wanted to get more into software, as that was my degree. Also had some ideas that eventually became Deep Lawn that I wanted to work on. So my brother and I sold that business. And I moved then to Austin, Texas, where I live now, and started working on what is now Deep Lawn.
So if we could get into that a little bit and just talk about Deep Lawn. Very exciting, by the way. But what exactly is Deep Lawn? How would you describe Deep Lawn?
Yeah, so we built Deep Lawn to solve a couple key issues. So as we built the lawn fertilization weed control business, we kind of faced a problem that every company has. Every spring, there's a spring rush. You get hundreds, thousands of leads coming in wanting a quote to take care of their lawn, to fertilize, to weed control, all of that. And we could never get a quote in the hands of the customer fast enough. Probably our biggest competitor, I'm sure you guys, it's one of your biggest competitors, although you guys do much better service, but is True Green. So we were competing with True Green, and True Green is a great, they're an amazing marketing and amazing sales company. I wouldn't say that their service and their quality is there, but they're great at sales. So if a homeowner calls them up, they usually give a price right over the phone. And that's what we were competing with. And what we would do is we would send a salesman to the property. They would have a measuring wheel and they would measure the lawn. And that's how almost everyone did it, back in 2015, 2014. So with kind of the rise of AI and me being in computer science, I started to try to build AI with satellite and aerial imagery. And it took about 2 years to build. But in 2021, we launched our first product. And really, it eliminates the need for a salesperson to have to go to that property, measure it with a wheel. They can just log into Deep Lawn, they can search an address, and in seconds, the AI will generate a measurement using our proprietary AI from satellite and aerial imagery.
I remember the days where we would go out with a measuring wheel.
Yeah.
We'd measure the lawn, right? That's me probably 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was a graduation from that where we would look at, say, like Google Earth or another aerial view, and then so the salesperson in the office could actually do the measuring. And then it got to the point where the customers themselves could do the measuring. That was another model. But your model is unique, right? In your model, AI does the measuring, so it's fully automated. Is that correct?
Correct. Yes. So whether it's a homeowner going on a company's website, we built an easy to use e-commerce tool that any lawn care company, pest control company can place on their website. A homeowner can go on, they can search their address, the AI will generate the measurement, and then the homeowner can review that measurement. They can look at what pricing, what options for services are available. with the pricing auto computed based on that lawn measurement or the driveway measurement or the house perimeter measurement, and then they can sign up. So really trying to, in one sense, trying to help operations for the salespeople and the office staff when they're getting inundated with thousands of lead requests, but also trying to change the experience. Homeowners today, and especially like in Gen Z, my generation, or I'm not Gen Z, I'm a millennial, sorry, or Gen Z. Honestly, most homeowners today, they have smartphones. They're used to Uber. They're used to ordering on Amazon. So we wanted to dramatically improve the customer experience. Homeowners don't like filling out a form on a website and waiting 3 days to hear from a salesperson. So we wanted that to be seamless. They can get a price if it's reasonable, if they're interested, if you have good information on your website. There should be no reason and no added friction, or problems with that customer just being able to sign up.
Yeah. Hey, Joel, that's a big part, right? There has been a little bit of a shift. There's still obviously a need for a talented salesperson that can really, really do that and sell. But it has shifted a little bit, right? Where the traditional sales model, build a rapport, might take a couple contact points, to where people, they just want what they want and they don't really want to talk to people as much anymore. So that's kind of where Deepline comes in. But on that, there might be some companies, certainly some employees, they get a little nervous of that, right? Anything with AI, people are afraid they're going to lose their jobs. From a company standpoint, maybe they feel for lack of a better word, maybe the quality of the sale isn't as strong because you haven't built that rapport. So they might be worried about cancellation rates. But I was hoping you could speak to that from both an employee or a sales rep's perspective, as well as a company perspective and the quality of that sale.
Yeah, no, I believe Deepline is a tool in a salesperson's arsenal, or a tool in their toolbox, rather. It by no means is supposed to replace the salesperson. Now, there are probably maybe 20-30% of homeowners that are going to be ready to buy, and they don't care to maybe talk to a salesperson to make that buying experience. But that doesn't mean that the salesperson should not still reach out and set expectations. Where I think Deepline can really bring a lot of benefit is it allows that salesperson to rather than spending all that time in logistics, measuring the property, clicking points on a Google map or interface, they can rather spend more time building a relationship with that client and setting expectations. Like we all know in lawn care, it's very important to set good expectations. If the lawn has, is all weeds, you got to set expectations that lawn, all the weeds are not going to disappear after just one treatment. It's going to take a bit. So, that's what I always tell, when my team is onboarding new companies, we always tell them this is just a tool in the arsenal. This is here to make your life easier, to help you be more effective, to get in front of more people, to get pricing in front of more people, to build better relationships. This is not to replace you.
Yeah, so I kind of see that too with AI. We look at it and we hear in the media, for example, that AI is going to replace all the jobs, right? But it sounds like you see AI as more of a job complementer rather than a job replacer. Is that how you see it?
Yeah, especially in the trades. I think AI just makes life easier for everyone. It can multiply your labor to be more effective, to get more done. It can make things more streamlined. I know, like our Deepline's AI is a little unique. It's more computer vision. So our technology could be comparable to like the cameras on Teslas. Although those cameras, they detect objects, they avoid running into people or avoid the curb. Our AI is similar to that. So there is a misconception on AI. AI is like some people think of it as like Terminator. Some people think of it as like ChatGPT. But yeah, it's many. There's a lot of different aspects to AI. There's large language models, natural language processing, there's computer vision. But from what I see and what we're seeing with thousands of companies in the US and Canada is they're using AI to make themselves and their teams more efficient. And they're able to do more. with less, which is powerful. And
Okay.
I don't see it really
Okay.
taking jobs.
Yeah, I did want to say, so we are a Deep Lawn customer, and a happy Deep Lawn customer, by the way. But I did want to disclose that to the audience, that we are a customer. But speaking of customers, how did you acquire your first customer? And I don't think it was us, but let us know how you acquired that first customer.
Yeah. So actually, back, when I owned my lawn care company, I used to spend a lot of time during the winters on Lawn Site, which is it's a lawn forum, a lawn care forum where a lot of lawn care companies, business owners, they'll go on and just kind of chat, help each other. It's not as big anymore. I think it's been kind of replaced by a lot of Facebook groups. But back in the day, that was the place to be, at least for me. And I would learn a lot from people. And I also made some friends in the industry, people that we looked up to, that I learned a lot from all over the U.S. So when we started rolling Deep Lawn out, prior to our launch, when we were in beta, I reached out to some of these companies that I was friends with the owners, or I knew, or I was acquainted with them. And we rolled out Deep Lawn with 10 companies in beta, and really used that first year leading up to when we launched in late 2021 as just a really good time to kind of test out the tech, figure out where the issues were with software, with systems, with anything. There's always edge cases that you got to fix. And we used those probably about 6 months to really test the software out, and those were our first customers. And then we did a couple press releases. We started going to some of the shows. We went to the GIE Expo, which is now called the Equip Expo, in Louisville, Kentucky. We had a booth there, and I think we probably got some of our first paying customers at the conference there.
Yeah, that's an amazing expo. It's huge. It probably would take somebody a full day to walk through the whole expo. I haven't been there in a few years, but a lot of interesting things there. But that's good to hear. So that's later on in the year, of course. But somebody could probably see you at one of the booths, I guess, this fall, right? I think it's in October.
Yeah.
But that's good. So you got some of your customers through the trade shows as well. Okay, very interesting. I did say, so we are a customer, of course, and one of the things I noticed is at the very end, there's an abandoned cart where sometimes the customers abandon the cart. What are some of the pointers that you would give your customers to pursue their own customers that abandon the cart towards the end of the sales process with Deep Lawn?
Yeah. It's super important that businesses follow up. So if, for instance, if you go on Amazon and you put something in your cart and you leave, you're going to get follow-up emails like every day about, hey, we see, you never finished purchasing this book. And we tell companies, like, it's very important that you do the same. If somebody does show interest in your services, but for whatever reason they leave or they abandon cart, people today are more distracted than ever. So they may be on their mobile device looking at services on your website, about to purchase, and they get a call, or they have to go pick up their kid and they just forget about it. So it's important that as a company, your sales team will follow up. And I know you guys have built some cool automations around it where it auto assigns to people, your salespeople reach out. I think that's amazing. And based on all the data I see with companies that do that, they dramatically increase close rates.
Yeah. So you guys integrate with HubSpot, and so your software communicates with HubSpot. Who are some of your tech partners that Deep Lawn does connect with?
As far as like CRMs, integrations, or?
Yes, exactly. As far as integrations or APIs, who are some of your partners in those areas?
Yeah, so we have a good integration partnership with Service Autopilot, with Jobber, with Field Routes, with Aspire. We have an integration with Zapier, which allows us to integrate to thousands of products, actually. We have a partnership integration with Spray. There's quite a few more. Pipedrive, HubSpot. We also have an open API. So companies that maybe have a CRM or have a developer on their staff that want to integrate to one of the CRMs or sales tools that we don't connect with, they can easily do it.
Yeah, it works great for us with the HubSpot model. And we spoke to earlier about the abandoned cart that Aaron brought up. There's a lot of benefits to Deepline. It really helps. It's great when it just closes the sale itself. But I think the next best thing is when we do get that abandoned cart thing. Maybe a customer was, interested. They left. We're able to quickly follow up, and it's like hot lead at that point. They're very interested. Maybe they just had a question or two, and we're able to close them after we reach out to us. So it works really well. But could you describe just what the typical sales process is for someone on Deepline? What that looks like?
Yeah. So typically companies will place the Deepline e-commerce experience on their website, and you can do this multiple ways. You can either put it directly on your homepage, which some companies do. Some companies will put it on particular service pages. Like, for instance, they may offer direct, online pricing directly on their lawn fertilization, weed control page. But for tree-related services, they probably are going to have them fill out a form and reach out to a salesperson. Putting the e-commerce experience, customers that are ready to buy, that come on your website, they're able to get pricing and sign up right then and there. Or if a homeowner wants to get signed up and it's 2 a.m., they just got off a late shift of work, they can just go on their mobile device and sign up directly on your website. But we also have a full suite of office-based tools that sales team, office staff can log into and utilize to be able to close a sale or give a quote to a homeowner directly from their office. So most of our Deepline users and customers, they will have Deepline open, and their office staff that answers calls, they will have Deepline open. They'll kind of talk to them, give them a spiel about what services they offer, what makes them different, what sets them apart, and they'll easily search that address in Deepline. And in seconds, it will generate that measurement. They can review it, ask, hey, does your property go back all the way to the fence? Does it go back to the lake? And then they can actually give them a price right over the phone. Or they can send a quick quote via email to that homeowner right while they're on the phone. So a lot of inside sales teams will use that, a lot of office staff that answer phones. And then, of course, outside sales, if you do have a salesperson that's going out and about, or a direct door-to-door team, they can easily pull up Deepline on their mobile device or iPad and generate a quote right there for the customer in the field.
Yeah, extremely useful. The next question I had, actually, when I was looking through, you were filling a void an issue that you've seen, and I was reading about it, and that was about route density, right? So keeping routes dense to keep it efficient, to make it make more sense for the company standpoint, and it kind of led to this concept of geo-pricing. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Yeah. Route density is key. And that's one of the things I found when I owned my company, my lawn care company, is for the longest time, we were trying to grow at all costs and try to expand at all costs to new territories, taking on new customers. But when you crunch the numbers, all customers are not equal. All properties, all services are not equal. And one of the numbers that I came across, and this was during the winter when we were crunching numbers and looking at profits in one year, is having route density is probably the second most important metric that impacts your profits. I think pricing is the most important. Like, you have to nail down pricing. And pricing is something that most lawn care business owners in general, only spend a couple hours a year on. But it's probably one of the most important factors driving profits.
So it's funny you say that, and I hate to steal your thunder on that, but as a team here at Lush Lawn, we do spend a lot of time in August studying our pricing to determine what our prices should be for next year. And we look at a lot of different things, and so hopefully this brings some value to our viewers and listeners here. But we certainly look at our competitors' pricing. We look at our costs per service line. What is our labor per service line? What is our product cost per service line? And then we develop what our profits are per service line, and then we can sort of determine from that, based on market-based and based on cost-based, determine what our prices should be for the following year. But a lot of what goes into that mix too is the efficiency factor, and a lot of that comes from dense routing. And so that's totally it. And so you address that with geo-pricing. Is that right?
Yeah. So with geo-pricing, you're easily able in DeepLawn to be able to set your regions and set which neighborhoods you offer, which services you offer in which neighborhoods, what pricing is. Like, one of the things that most companies do is they just charge the same for all of their service area. But that's not necessarily correct, because some neighborhoods and some regions of your service area take a lot longer to get there. You may have to drive an hour. There may be a lot more downtime, or they're not quite as dense routes. So one of the things that we built with geo-pricing, we built this into DeepLawn. It's an easy add-on in DeepLawn that you can enable. And it allows companies to be able to charge differently based on how far a property is from your shop, how many customers you have in a particular neighborhood. Some neighborhoods in cities, I'm sure you guys know, some neighborhoods are less price sensitive than others. You might want to offer a more premium service, higher price service, or higher perceived priced service in some of maybe the wealthier neighborhoods than you would in some of like the middle class neighborhoods.
That really seems like DeepLawn in this regard operates more with a scalpel rather than a sledgehammer. And that sounds like that's kind of your approach. Is that a good way of saying it?
Yeah. It allows companies to be smart about how they're pricing, where they're pricing, like what services they offer in certain areas. I know with my company back in the day, somebody would call us or they'd fill out a form on the website. My office staff would have to figure out where they're located, and then they would pull up a pricing sheet, which was printed on the wall or in a big spreadsheet. They'd find the number, the square footage range, and then they'd give a price. With geo-pricing, you can build all the logic on the front end, and then you can easily set that pricing, set a 5% surcharge, only offer certain services in certain areas, and that all is quickly automatically generated for the office staff, for the sales team, and all of that.
I will say too, Joel, this isn't currently an add-on that Lush Lawn is using as the geo pricing. But when I read that, I thought it was something extremely interesting, right? Like Aaron said, more of a scalpel approach. I mean, if you combine that with maybe degree of difficulty on a job or something, you'd really, really get there to like in a perfect amount. But yeah. I thought it was something really cool, something I thought the listeners would be interested in learning.
Yeah. For us, for example, we have 6 branches. So if we were able to price differently according to the branch, maybe we'd want to do that. We've actually thought about that at times. It sounds like your tool could accommodate that. So that's really neat there, Joel.
Yeah. And also kind of back to building route density. So not only for pricing, but you're able, like if you want to, as a business, you can set up discounts, like say neighborhood level discounts that you want. So for instance, if you're trying to really you have 3 customers in any given neighborhood, and you're trying to build that to 10, because you realize if you get a couple more customers, the profits double, essentially. Because your technician can just pull up to that neighborhood, essentially park, and they can knock out for a couple hours, knock out all these properties. You can do specific neighborhood level discounts or neighborhood prices or specials to try to win more work in that neighborhood and acquire more dense routes.
Okay. What challenges have you faced with DeepLawn, Joel?
Oh, many challenges. I thought early on when I started a software business that all of my problems that I faced with my service business would be gone, and it's so much easier. At least I saw on Twitter that owning a software business is so much easier. In some sense, there's maybe In some sense, it's easier. In other sense, it's harder. But I don't know. I've had many problems. I've probably made every mistake in the book. I think probably one of the biggest ones is pricing. Not pricing effectively. Early on, when we started the business, I spent very little time on pricing, and pricing is very important. What's crazy is your customers are going to judge you based on your price. If you price too high, they might judge you. But if you price too low, they're going to judge you as well. This really like hit home for me when I was listening on a demo that my team was giving to a pretty big company, and they said, "Yeah, we've seen you the last couple of years. To be honest, we saw how cheap your software was, how inexpensive, and we thought it was kind of a joke. We didn't really take you seriously." And I was like, "Wow, that's crazy. I thought charging less was better." But that's just an example. You got to really nail down price. You want your perceived value to be good. That doesn't mean price gouge or try to you should still price based on the value your software gives to people. But if you price too low, they're gonna think you don't bring much value. If you price too high, of course you're gonna weed out, or you're gonna keep people from signing up that could potentially be good customers. Yeah. So just spending time on the data is super key. I mean, that's just one of probably hundreds of mistakes and lessons I've learned.
Well, Joel, I hope we spoke to you before you spoke to that customer that you then sold at a higher price. Hopefully we got the good price out of you there. So, with that though, my next question it revolves around kind of what are the most underutilized features of DeepLawn? Lush Lawn, for example, doesn't currently utilize geo pricing, but what are you seeing that people aren't utilizing on DeepLawn enough?
Yeah, definitely geo pricing. I think some of our building related data, like our house perimeter data that we have available, house square footage data. A lot of companies that do pest control related services do not utilize that data. But what's powerful about that is you can easily give a quote for house pest related services directly on the website. Your sales team, it's a quick add-on. You just click it, enable it, and you're able to start pricing all of those pest-related services right in the software.
Yeah, so it's very interesting, Joel, because we are launching our own pest website. So Lush Lawn also has a pest division called Defender Pest. And so we would be interested in talking to you and getting an understanding of how we could use that feature for our pest website and give automated quotes in that way as well. Because actually, I wasn't even aware of that until you just brought that up.
I wasn't either. That's a great point.
Yeah.
That's another lesson that I've.
So this is becoming a profitable podcast for you. You're making sales as you podcast. So
well, that's another great lesson I've learned is you have to let customers know what services you offer.
Yeah.
And the fact that you guys didn't know means that we need to be better about that. So this is something I've been working on over this winter, is making it easier for existing customers to be able to see all that we offer. And that applies to lawn care as well. Like you need to keep customers in the loop on all of your other services. Probably some of your best sales, best new revenue is going to come from existing customers, from upselling, letting them know what all you offer. So we need to be better at it, obviously. We need to continue to be better at it.
So you probably learned that lesson in lawn care and applied that to tech, right?
Yeah.
Because in lawn care you do the same thing, right? So you take existing customers and you see what else they need, right? What else do they need as existing customers? They need grub, do they need aeration, do they need tree service or pest service? So in your space it's very similar, at least that concept is very similar, it sounds like.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. All right, so you explained some of the underutilized features in DeepLawn. I don't know if there's anything else that you would add to that, but in that vein, what's the future of DeepLawn? What would we look at, say, 1 to 2 years from now, and say, oh wow, this is a really cool feature that DeepLawn has, and how do we use that feature?
Yeah. I gotta be careful here because we're working on some really cool stuff
Yeah, I
that
got you. I got
we
you.
want to keep on the down. We want to keep on the down low until we release it. But
Yeah, yeah.
there's going to be a lot. There's going to be a lot that we enable, like to make it easier to sell your services outside of just your website. Companies can be able to reach a broader market
Okay.
by enabling some things in DeepLawn. This winter we're releasing a brand new commercial version of DeepLawn. Now, in the past, typically DeepLawn was built primarily for residential companies, but we have a brand new DeepLawn commercial product that can easily measure large-scale commercial properties up to thousands of acres, landscape beds, parking lots, parking areas, sidewalks, everything, mulch, concrete or mulch drive or mulch, rock beds, everything, trees. So we're doing a lot more with that. We're also kind of totally rebuilding our measurement platform and improving our AI to be even better at the accuracy, better with heavy tree cover.
Yeah, that was one of the things I was going to mention actually is
Yeah.
when I've come across different softwares, different measuring tools, that tree canopy is pretty tricky. And I've seen some of the some of the aerial applications, and they tend to like take pictures when there's no foliage on the tree, when the leaves are down, like in the winter, for example. I'm guessing that you guys have some tricks of the trade to get around that, to get through the canopy somehow. I'm not sure if you guys have like X-ray vision or something like that in your software, but something that can get through that and figure it out.
Well, we almost do have X-ray vision because we utilize LiDAR data.
Are you Superman? No way.
I wish. No, no. We are utilizing like LiDAR data,
Yeah.
which can see through leaves. So we're doing a bunch of improvements with that for heavy tree cover. But we do have high definition imagery available, which we take from Nearmap and Eagle View. And like you said, they try to fly over during leaves off periods, and so that data is definitely more accurate and heavy tree cover. There's still limitations. Our AI can only do the best it can. It's still in many cases better than a human or on par with what a human would do if they're measuring. But occasionally in say Charlotte, North Carolina, or Atlanta, Georgia, there are some limitations. If a house is just entirely covered, a lawn with trees, it might be a little bit slightly less accurate. But we're doing a bunch. We're doing a bunch this winter to continue to improve those measurements, and make that heavy, even with properties with heavy tree canopy, make those accurate or make those measurements even more accurate.
Okay.
Joel, I'm really excited for the commercial aspect that you spoke about. Looks like we're gonna have a pretty good conversation after this podcast about some options for us with the pest and commercial. But currently, our commercial reps, that's probably their most time-consuming part of what they do. I'll see them on, they'll use Google Earth or some other measuring software, and it can take them hours to really get those big properties. If you're able to knock that down into a few seconds, that could really be a game changer for a lot of companies. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Happy to talk.
And so in that vein, also with regards to trees, we do a lot of tree services here. And what I want to ask you is, are there certain things that your software can do with regards to identifying trees and things like that can help us with estimating trees? Because for us, with our tree services, different trees have different needs. For example, a crabapple tree might need like scab apple protection, or a maple tree needs something for tar spot or something like that. Is there any kind of integration with your service in DeepLawn that can account for some of those? Maybe create a tree inventory, if you will, or a tree and plant inventory, if you will. Is there anything like that?
Currently at the moment, no.
Okay.
But that's definitely something as some of the aerial imagery providers are getting better. Some of this data is getting better, and our AI models are getting better. It's definitely something I'd love to talk to you about and see
Okay.
see if there's an opportunity there.
Okay. Excellent. And this question wasn't on our sheet here, but I thought of it as we were going through this because this is very important. So you get new users, you're onboarding new users, And last week it sounded like you were onboarding somebody when we were talking to you. How do you train new users? What are some of your some of the best tips or hints that you have for training a new user on DeepLawn?
One of the things we do is we have an onboarding checklist. So any new user, they onboard, they're required to go through this checklist and watch just a few videos and make sure that their account is set up. We also try to nudge them, or we try to persuade them to join an onboarding call with our team. So it might take a lot more time from my team, but it's very useful, and we found that it helps companies be set up for success if they meet for about 45 minutes with one of our onboarding specialists. Typically that's Shauna or Annabelle on my team. And really that helps just make sure that they're set up for success, they have their account set up, and they're good to go. We're also doing some more we're building an AI chatbot that we're loading our entire wiki and knowledge base into, that any DeepLawn customer will have access to as they're setting up their account. They can easily ask questions. If the AI bot, which the AI bot learns in real time and it gets better, but if the AI bot can't solve the problem, it will direct it to connect them with Shauna or Annabelle on the team. And we're doing more and more to try to just solve any questions that come across. We also use a product called PostHog. PostHog is a very, very cool product. It actually records sessions, and it shows what users are doing on the screen. So what it can do is it can track if there's rage clicks. It can track if somebody shows signs of being upset or not finding something, or if they're clicking something they think is a button that's not. That's very useful. That's very useful. So my team, Rick on my team, every week he puts together a report on that. He compiles it. And if anything we see could actually improve the experience for our customers, we escalate that.
So you'd have to shut off that rage click feature for me. I think.
Really?
I don't think I'd want to be measured for that.
Yeah. Hey Joel, I wasn't.
That's a setting you can take off.
I wasn't going to say anything, but my office actually used to be really close to Aaron's office, and sometimes we'd have a meeting together, and I'd leave, and maybe we wouldn't be on the same eye to eye. And I used to call it rage typing. I could hear him from the other room sending me an email. The decibels were pretty loud, man. We just watched the Seahawks. I think it would rival that. But turn the rage click on.
No, the correct email etiquette is not to send an email when you're upset. So I never send emails. So that's just how it works with me. I just never send emails. But if there's a rage click feature, I can't click either. So that's not good for me. But anyways. So hey, Joel, is there anything that we haven't talked about that you'd like to just share with the viewers or listeners?
Yeah, another product we recently launched. Actually, most people don't know about it because we haven't really spread the word yet. But it's called Density Blaster, and this kind of goes back to building route density. So Density Blaster, it is a brand new product that we released in DeepLawn. What it allows companies to do, allows them to upload all their existing client base, their customers. They can add tags to them, and they can see where they're located on a neighborhood-wide level, street-wide level, and they can actually go in and send targeted postcards to all of their neighbors. And what's powerful is it integrates, because it's a DeepLawn product, it integrates into your pricing, and it can actually display custom pricing for that lawn, for that property directly on the postcard. It can also, you can also set up a QR code that directly sends them through your e-commerce experience. So they scan that card, or they scan that QR code on the card, and they can sign up right away. They can turn from a prospect to a lead to a customer. We're excited this year. We're going to do some more automations around that. But the data that we're seeing, and we're gonna start reporting some of this data that we're seeing. But the data that we're seeing for postcards is amazing. compared to like Meta ads, compared to Google ads, which obviously they definitely work, but inflation, I mean, the price has gone up year over year for forever.
Okay.
And it continued to goes up, and the cost to acquire a customer is very high online. So we're finding like amazing results from postcards, high conversion rates, and it's a great way to build more route density in a hyper targeted way.
Wow.
Yeah, I can't.
That's really interesting because you're right. The cost per customer is definitely going up. Anybody that uses Google AdWords, can see that for sure. The cost per customer is going up. So I think we're ready to start wrapping things up here, Joel. You've been a phenomenal guest. We really appreciate it, and I know a lot of our listeners who haven't had exposure to Deepline are going to get a lot to work with here and a lot to think about. How would our viewers, how would our listeners be able to follow you on social media? And how would they be able to get in contact with you?
Yeah, I think a great way is probably LinkedIn. I'm pretty active on there. I post a lot on LinkedIn. Hopefully going to start posting more. We have a lot of good content to post around helping lawn care companies grow and solving problems. And as we build out tools, LinkedIn's great. Also, just go to deepline.com. We have a lot of content about the product, how it helps, the problems it solves. And if you have any questions, reach out on LinkedIn, and love to chat.
Okay. Thanks, Joel. We really appreciate it, and have a good day.
Thanks, guys.
All right, take care, Joel. Thanks for being on.
I want to remind everyone, if you want to learn a little bit more about Lush Lawn, certainly hit lushlawn.com. You can check us out on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook. Really appreciate that. But engage with us. We'll really appreciate it. And until we talk next time, let's make it a great day.